You secured the bag successfully. Now it's time to set our sights on what to do now and next. Welcome to the live recording of episode 24 of Client by Client. Wherever you're watching this, whatever platform, drop it in. Let me know where you're watching it. Cold Brew Gang, you know what's up. Fire emojis in if you had your coffee today. Drop them in. We're going to get started here in just about 90 seconds. I want to be sharing with you guys a lot of the pitfalls that I see happens when you hit, and this applies to the different milestones at 5, 10, 15, 30K a month milestones. That way you can understand what to do and maybe even shift your mindset, your vibration into the state of having. Could be a side effect of today's episode. Not sure if I'll talk about that much at all, but just some insight in behind the scenes for how I look at, how I think about creating the world you're wanting in coaching and in your life. So if you're pumped for that, drop a reaction, drop a hello. Of course, would love to shout you out and say what's up. Today on the podcast, if you're following live, episode 15 just went live. Happy Cinco de Mayo, by the way. Episode 15 just went live, which is the biggest way to hold yourself back from 6 and 7 figures. Grab it in Spotify, grab it in Apple Podcasts, whichever listener. It's in Audible. It's also in the Google Play Store. It's in Stitcher. It's in all of them. Whatever one makes the most sense for you, be sure to grab that. But today we are going to be recording episode 24, so we're a little ahead. Bought some time, so that works out great. I'm ahead. I think I'm edited in episode 20 of the show. So now I get to be a bit more creative with how, which is the whole point of this as well, behind the scenes, which is how do I use this content to create all of my other content in just a 20-minute podcast every day. That said, let's hop in and let's bring this to life. Hey, what's up? Jeremy here from whatupjeremy.com. Welcome back to Client by Client. What I'm going to be sharing with you in today's show is what happens after you've secured the bag. This show is called You Hit 15K a Month, Now What? But this also applies to you if you're having your first 5K month, your first 10K month, or maybe you had a stroke of luck. Maybe opportunity came and gave you a visit. Maybe you've hit that 20 or 30K month. It's going to apply to each of these milestones. But the big target that I like to aim with my students at and with you guys listening to the show is 15K a month, because that is life-changing for most of you. Whereas 5 to 10K is not as life-changing as it was 3, 4, 5 years ago when you factor in inflation, when you factor in taxes, when you factor in the rising costs of everything, including all of the subscriptions it takes to run a business and the rising price of coaching as well, rightfully so. And so I'm going to be sharing with you what to do once you've secured that bag, once you've hit that 15K month, which really should only take you 3 to 5 clients, as you've heard on this show. So that's totally doable for you listening to this right now when you have the right plan, when you have the right methodologies in place, and when you have the right support around you. In the last episode, we did a little showdown, and what we did is we pitted up Facebook groups against email lists. Which one's better? Which should you focus on? Which should you absolutely eliminate from your life? We talk about it. So if you didn't catch that episode after this one, backtrack one so that you can hear a little bit about what I think your focus should be between Facebook groups and email list building. But today what we're here to talk about is what you do once you've secured that bag, once you have your first 15K and or that 10, that 5K month, or even that 20 to 30K month. First, let's talk about what you shouldn't do. The first thing to avoid doing once you've had that 15K month is to splurge. And I know there's, for a lot of you, going to be a big inclination to want to take the family and friends out, want to take the girl or the boy out, want to buy all the things that you've been wanting, invest in all of the other softwares and services and subscriptions to elevate the plan you might be on your email service provider, or all of these different things for where you're wanting your money to go. You might have some credit card bills that you want to pay off. You might have a loan that you're working on paying off. You might owe someone some money. These are not uncommon things. You might have a course or a coaching program you're in that you've been funding from old money, and now you have this new money in front of you. But the first thing you want to avoid doing is splurging. And while I think you should reward yourself and reward those number one supporters that are around you, this can very easily be taken out of hand. Small side story, I've been in a calorie deficit since January of last year for the most part. There've been a couple days where I've gone off of the rails, which is the point of this. It's very easy to have a cheat day and to get off of measuring the calories or just going off the rails with my caloric intake. And anyone who's done a cut before, anyone who's been trying to lose weight before and took it super serious and was logging the calories knows this. I've been on 1,700 calories. I'm a smaller dude. I want to weigh around 130, 140. And so I've been on 1,700 calories, which is a 500 calorie deficit. So add 500 calories, and that's what it would take to basically maintain where I'm at versus continuing to lose. And so one day off of the rails and eating whatever, getting some Krispy Kremes, right? Getting a maple bar, the apple fritters. I love this stuff. And so it's really easy when you have one of these days for that to turn into two, for to turn into three, turn into four, and so on. It's very easy the next day to say, well, I kind of screwed up yesterday, so let me continue going on. And it's the same mindset when it comes to money and splurging. In fact, if you are one of those chronic spenders in your personal life, you're probably going to be that way in your business life as well. And this is even more for you if you're that kind of person. If you're the budgeter and you know where every dollar's going, maybe this exact piece of the episode isn't what you need. But I also want you to avoid and be able to see this coming should you ever get that itch. So the first thing you want to not do is splurge. There's going to be a big inclination to upgrade the laptop, to get the new phone, to get the new wardrobe and those sorts of things. And what I can promise you is that if you're in this for the long game, you are going to have many more months like this where you're just as excited, where the revenue's coming in, you are feeling like everything is going your way and everything is going right. And splurging and putting yourself back into a situation where you're feeling tight on money is the quickest way to make sure that the next month is lower in revenue and doesn't end up being as good of this last month you had where you actually got the bag. So the first thing I want you to not do is splurge. The second thing I want really to be on your radar to not do when you hit that 15K month is to steer off course. And I'm going to speak from experience on this one, and in my own business and from my students in the Get Clients program. It is inevitable when someone hits 10 or 15K that the first thing that you're going to go invest in is your business. And while that's not the worst investment, there are bad investments when it comes to your business. For instance, in January of 2020, I experienced my biggest month to date in my business. And one of the first things I did is I invested in growing another platform. So while my email list and my Facebook group was popping and organic marketing was going great, I got shiny object syndrome, and someone was in my DM inbox at the right place at the right time, had the right conversation with me, and I paid and invested for someone to run and kind of automate and run LinkedIn to get more conversations and more booked calls. And so in doing that and in starting to take just a little bit of attention off of what was working, my revenue was half in the next month. And now my expenses were even higher because I made a month-to-month commitment for $1,500 a month for this team to run my LinkedIn. So while that wouldn't have been the worst investment if my focus was LinkedIn, you guys know that I am the biggest advocate and the biggest beating of the drum, so to say, the biggest drummer behind the beat of focusing on one. And that also means focusing on one social platform until you are at either that 15K a month minimum for 3 months in a row, or until you hit $1 million cash collected in your in a 12-month period, to be a bit more specific. And when you get that shiny object syndrome because you now have more options and more money, which provides those more options, you have more resources, it's really easy to start thinking about, well, this is working well, let me get another plate spinning, and again, let me get that one to work just as well. But in doing that, you inevitably take even the slightest amount of attention off of what's working, and in doing that, when you divert that energy, it will now not have the oxygen and the ability to work as good as it was. So the second thing I need for you to really be on your radar is to not steer off course and keep the main thing, right? Like Warren Buffett always says, a really good investor puts their eggs in one basket and they don't take their eyes off of the basket. How is this any different in business? How is this any different with your main source of leads, of conversations, of clients and revenue? So what I want for you to not do is get the shiny object syndrome and then start thinking about, okay, let me get a team so I can launch a podcast. Let me go and get a VA so that I can do X, Y, or Z. It's just too soon when you've hit your first 15K month. So that's the not do's. Don't splurge. Don't steer off course and start getting shiny object syndrome. I want for you to experience 15K minimum, 3 months in a row minimum, so that you have the financial stability, so that you have a little bit of a war chest built up, so that if you do make a decision that helps you to propel your business in the right direction, that you are not feeling like and putting yourself back into the state of lacking or the state of feeling like you need more money, because that's the quickest way to start to push those opportunities away from you and to start to get out of abundance, which you've successfully found yourself in if you've just hit your first 15K month. And so what I don't want for you to do is to start to like mess up those ripples in the universe, and now you're putting yourself back into a state of lack and not having, and now you're needing, and now you're attracting circumstances and situations in reality that put you back where you were. So that out of the way, let's now talk about what I want for you to do. And this first point is a little bit of pre-planning, but it's super important. And so maybe you've had 15K months. This is still equally important if you're not doing it. And it's even more important if you're on your way there. And that is to make a plan for the money. In fact, I think this is the quickest way to start to attract anything you're wanting, is to have a plan for when it happens. Because most people in coaching are just chasing the clients and don't even really know what they want the money to do. And when your money has no meaning to it and you're just doing it for the money, when you get the money, you aren't going to be fulfilled. And what I want for you to do is to have that sense of fulfillment when you get the money, so you're still motivated to keep on going and going forward. So I want for you to make a plan. This should factor in, number one, setting aside a minimum of 10%, right? 10 cents out of every dollar immediately goes into a savings. Now you're left with 90%. Well, the next thing you have to do is you're going to have to pay taxes. And depending where you're at, that's going to be a 15 to 30, 35%. And I'd probably advise you to target that higher end so that you have that sense of security in your business. What you're also probably going to be doing is wanting to pay you. Maybe you're one of the lucky few coaches who just struck gold and hit that 15K in the first like 6 months of your online business without much help or anything like that. Well, you probably are going to be in a little bit better of a position. But for a lot of us, we have been paying and funding our coaching business and these efforts from our existing money, from either past jobs or from credit cards or loans. And I'm not advising any of that. I'm just saying what the reality of the situation for most coaches is. And so they're just trying to get those things paid off, and that just creates that state of lack, that state of not having, that state of needing and wanting, which only attracts more of that. So what I want for you to do is make a plan, and I want it to include paying, saving 10 cents out of every dollar, paying Uncle Sam or the tax man. Maybe that's also paying you a small bit. Maybe that is doing a payment towards whatever existing agreements you've made. But what I don't want for you to do is go and immediately pay all those things off, because that's also the quickest way to start racking up more debt and doing all sorts of those things. And this is not a money advisement show. I'd really recommend having resources and people on your side that are doing that for you. Maybe that's something we could talk about in a future episode, but let's just hypothesize and say that you're navigating this alone. I want for you to wake up and be able to see that money in your account for a few days, maybe for a few weeks, or maybe all month. So number one, make a plan for what you're going to do with the money. And second, when you do get the money, really try your best to hold on for it. Really try your best to hold on to it for as long as possible, because a lot of you are going to get the money and immediately start paying the things off. And now you're back into seeing a dwindling account. Whereas how nice would it be to just for 2 weeks out of that month to be able to see that 15K in there, to be able to plan, make the right assessments, live life like you are already living. Don't let it swing you one way or the other on the pendulum, and let it get your excitement and your emotions riled up. Staying neutral to it is going to be the fastest way to keep yourself in that zone and to continue attracting more situations like it. And if right now, if you're listening to this and you have not had that 5, 10, 15K month yet, and you also don't have a plan for what's going to happen with the money, this is your ahead of time warning, right? That you need to have a plan for the money. In fact, there is something beautiful that happens when you start to look at the good causes or the positive things that you're going to be able to do with that money. Maybe you're someone who tithes, right? Like picture yourself and budget for that 10% going to that church or your faith and being able to dedicate that. The other part of it is thinking about the special people in your life, right? If you are just in coaching to get clients and to get rich, you're going to have a really hard time. Whereas when you give meaning to your money, that money is going to take on a whole different sort of energy. So maybe for you, that's retiring a spouse or a parent. Maybe for you, that's taking your family on a trip. Maybe for you, that's giving to a special cause. You need to also give your money meaning, because that is going to make the efforts in your business and even the hard times matter a lot more, because it's not about those things. It's about the meaning that you've given your money. Thing number one is make a plan for the money. It's really hard to attract money and these resources in if you don't have a plan already for it and where every dollar is going to go. And that's what I want for you to do. I want for you to budget every dollar. And right now, you're probably not paying yourself just yet or paying yourself consistently. It's important to think about, okay, if I want to start paying myself consistently, what would that look like, assuming I hit 15K the next 2 months as well, so that you can budget and plan appropriately and also experience the fruits of your labor. You need to be saving and saving more than you're currently thinking. And to have the foresight to do this is an incredible thing. It's really hard to do. And it's easy to think about, I should have done that, but it's really hard to do in the moment if you're not thinking about these things or if you're not considering what can happen once you do have the money. Make a plan for it. That's one of the easiest ways to call situations and circumstances in where that money is a prevalent factor. Thing number two, this is going to go a little bit with the splurging, because I think that you should reward yourself. But in the process of that, I think one of the best things that you can do is to map out what your rewards are going to be and when. When you're just getting started, the rewards are probably going to be a little bit smaller and you have some options. You could do what I do and give yourself a little reward every time a new client signs up, or you can give yourself a reward like I now do when you're reaching different milestones in your online business. So at first for me, it was like taking out a buddy to dinner, or taking out an accountability partner for drinks, or it was like getting a shirt that I had my eyes on or something like that. And like anything I would start to want, I would put on this list and plan to buy it. I would just do that with new money, and I would only do that when a new client would sign up or when I'm hitting these milestones in my business. So I want for you to map out your rewards. I want you to think about all the things that you're wanting and all the things that you would love to have and just put them on there and make sure that you are making a right amount of money to also be paying for those things. Like it's one thing to say I'm going to go out to dinner, and it's another thing to say I'm going to upgrade my living space. There's a time and place for both of them. You need to be aware of what the time is so that you can make your decisions appropriately. So what I recommend doing, and I do this when I get client students, I give them a sheet, a Google spreadsheet. It's like a little money dashboard. I use it in my business too, where you put in your rewards. And as you go, you can check them off and you'll see progress. And then you'll also have these like ornaments and things and gifts that you're getting yourself or others that will continue to motivate you to do that and to do that at an even bigger scale. So if you're watching this live, I want to know, like, what will your next reward be for your next client? And throw that in the comments here. Would love to shout you out and just kind of see, like would it be upgrading the phone? Would it be going somewhere? Would it be doing something? What's most important about thinking about mapping out your rewards is that it's mapping with the revenue that's coming in. So when I first started coaching, my clients were $750 for a 6-week one-on-one ongoing coaching. And so in doing that, like I probably shouldn't put $1,000 iPhone as my reward for a $750 client. What that might be is dinner or, doing something special, doing something small, but still special and meaningful to keep myself going. One of my friends, Jose Fernandez, is kind of like one of my accountability partners through business and life. We used to work at Apple way back in the day, went to the same high school back in the day. Shout out Chandler High, shout out Wolves. And Jose and I will hold each other accountable through that. And even if it's small, like getting together for one drink or getting together for a meal, we do that. And we do that with the intention of celebrating our wins, to consolidate that win, to ingrain it in us, and to keep us motivated when the times are good and when the times are bad. Map out your rewards, put a note together. Maybe you have this already. You need to know how much it costs, have the link there for where you're going to buy it, and then also just make sure it maps out with the revenue that's coming in. You don't want to overshoot this and put yourself in a bad situation with debt or something like that, or just spending all of the money from a client, because you got to save, you got to pay yourself, you got to pay the tax man, you got to do all these things when that happens. Third, this is for you if you've hit this 15K and you did it on your own, and maybe you did it by the sweat of your brow or the seat of your pants, so to say. And one of the best things that I can recommend doing, if you're not already doing this, is to invest in yourself. In fact, I think investing in yourself is more important as a reward than getting new technology or clothes or drinks or dinner or those sorts of things, because one of the best things that you can do in the long term to make sure that your revenue is continuously going up is to get the sort of help, support, and people around you that are already on that path, that have already been there and done that. So whether it's me or someone else, I'm just the biggest advocate for you getting that support and joining a coaching program that you feel that you can be a part of and insert yourself and even get a lot out of and give a lot to, so that you can get the kind of help that's going to keep pushing you forward. Because if you're aiming at 15, 20K a month and that's your end goal, there's nothing wrong with that. But in the long term, you're gonna want to build a bigger war chest, and you're gonna want to be aiming upwards, because nothing ever stays the same in the universe, right? It's either going up or it's going down. And you never know what's going to happen in your life down the road where you're going to want more options. And so I'm not here to judge you if your goal is only 10, 15, or 20K a month and that's where you want to be. But what I can tell you is you never know what's going to happen down the road. And I want for you to have more options and the ability to have the resources to take care of those things. Maybe it's you got sick for a couple weeks. Maybe it's a family member got sick. Maybe it's taking care of a bill or helping a special cause out or something like that. And when you have drained all of your resources, it's really hard to do that. And so this is a smaller game in the grand scheme of business of getting to 15K a month, but it's a major milestone. And so if you're listening to this now and you've had your first 15 months, if you're listening to this now and you've had your first 15K month, I just want to say congratulations and kudos. You've made it to a spot that a lot of coaches don't. And so either you've done this with some help or you're super smart and sharp and you figured this out. And either way, I just want to say kudos. And the best thing that you can do next is kudos and congratulations. And the best thing that you can do next is invest in yourself in a coaching program that hopefully isn't more than what you've currently just brought in, or maybe there's a payment plan so it makes it easier to stay in it and to make that initial investment. But whatever the case, find the mentor that has the business and the life that you are wanting. Invest in yourself and join their coaching program and make their word God. And when you get to this step, and maybe this is the first coaching program that you've joined or that you've joined in a while, well, I want for you to go back and I want for you to check out episode let's see here. Then I want for you to go back and check out episode 13, where I shared the major mistakes that happen when joining a coaching program as a student, so that you can also get the most out of that coaching program, really apply yourself, and really feel like you're not only getting your money's worth, but they are undercharging you because you're just getting so much out of it. Guys, that's the flow. Make a plan for the money when it comes in. Map out your rewards so that you can experience the fruits of your labor as you go and as you grow. And third, the best investment that you can make with that is to invest in yourself through coaching. Find someone that has the business and that has a life that you are wanting. Make their word God. That way you'll continue on that upward trajectory, and they'll be able to help you spot the new landmines and pitfalls and obstacles that lay ahead of you and help you navigate through them faster, and hopefully get you closer to that 30, 50, 100K a month. There's already other coaches doing this. It's just a matter of understanding and learning what they've learned, applying that into your business, and sticking with that proven plan. In the next episode of Client by Client, I'm going to be sharing with you a framework for how to tell if your offer needs more work. As you know, we're all about juicy offers, all the way from someone opting in or showing interest by raising their hand, all the way through the mini offers that get someone to make that wise investment to work with you and to join your coaching program. So I'm going to be sharing with you how to tell if your offer needs just a little bit of work and what to do and work on to make it even better. Whenever you are ready, here are 3 ways I can help you grow your online business. First, if you don't already have it and you're not using one, you absolutely need a CRM. And I've made one for you, and right now it's totally free. It's called GetBookedCRM, and it helps you get leads and turn them into clients in half the time. all you have to do is find me on Instagram or wherever you're watching this and drop the letters CRM. And I can share with you where to go and get your copy. I'll show you how to use it and how to feel even more empowered around your lead generation and your client acquisition so that you can get more clients. All you have to do is find me on Instagram at whatupjeremy and send me the letters CRM. Second, join my free group for online coaches. I've got just about 1,000 folks from all over the world from the coaching industry who are at the same step you're at, small step ahead, or one small step behind. And I also use the group to share my best resources and to create a community for my people and for my listeners of the show. So drop the word group or message me group on Instagram, or just search Leverage Coach in Facebook, and that way you can hop in and get around others digitally, shoulder to shoulder, and just be around more people who speak the same language as you and are headed in the same direction. Lastly, become my next success story. I'm getting some coaches together this month to implement my methods to land 15K in new clients or double your online roster in the next 30, 60, 90 days. But I'm very picky about who I bring into my program because one bad apple can spoil the bunch. So this is only for you if you are a relationship-focused coach who always puts the human and the person ahead of the money. You've been coaching for at least 1 year. You'd like to get 3 to 5 clients every single month organically from Facebook or Instagram without paid traffic or ads. You have at least 300 Facebook or Instagram friends or members in a group or email list subscribers. You're willing to take bold action because you know that your success is dependent upon it. And last, but most importantly, you can keep a secret. If that's you, I want you to find me on Instagram at whatupjeremy and message me the words case study. And I'll share with you what we have coming up, how we're helping other students with this in the Get Clients coaching program already, and what this can mean for you and your online business. That's all for today. I'll see you guys tomorrow with another episode of Client by Client. Boom. Exciting day today. Now that the formal recording here is done. Exciting day. Let's turn that off. Meeting up with a previous client and a very personal friend of mine, Carrie Connolly, going to be on her podcast over in Scottsdale. That should be a good time. Plan afterward is to link up with a buddy, grab some food. It's Cinco de Mayo. We also have the one championship fight tonight. Also, we have Jorge Masvidal's bare knuckle event this evening, and a bunch of fighting tomorrow. UFC, Canelo, some good boxing. Should be an action-packed weekend. Let me know in the comments, what are your plans for Cinco de Mayo, or what are your plans for this weekend? This episode that you were a part of the live taping of today will not be aired until the 18th of May, the 18th of this month. So you got a little time, but be sure to check out today's episode, which is the biggest way to hold yourself back from 6 and 7 figures, or episode 14, how to unlock the secret to get clients, which is only needing one offer. That's it for me, team. Enjoy your Friday. I'll see you guys back on Monday with another episode. Cheers.